Place the sleeve next to the shaft and decide which portion you intend to use. Then cut away the excess. This makes the sleeve easier to manage. If possible, fold the end of the grip back so it stays in position. Certain grips don't allow for this, such as putter grips or older grips. More on this a little bit later. Fit the sleeve aid onto the butt end of the grip and then fit the sleeve. Pull it down to about the halfway point on the club. Spend about 20 or 30 seconds preheating the lower portion of the shaft, paying particular attention to the bottom end around the ferrule and hosel. Lower the sleeve down over the ferrule and onto the hosel. At this point it's important to be aware of where the seam is. You should twist this to the back of the club. Shrink the start of the sleeve to cover the hosel and start of shaft. From this point on, it's extremely important to support the weight of the club by holding the sleeve. With practice, you can hold the sleeve and shaft together with such light pressure that the sleeve slides upward during application. Now continue the shrinking process by placing the lower edge of the nozzle against the shaft, allowing the top edge to angle away slightly. This focuses the heat into a small area at the top of the nozzle. Work upwards at a rate that ensures the sleeve pulls tight and smooth, eliminating all wrinkles. It's not usually necessary to move the nozzle from side to side, although sometimes this can help. Generally, the conduction of the heat around the shaft is sufficient to achieve smooth results. If you see a wrinkle that you're concerned about, it should help to heat the opposite side a little. Work slowly. It's generally not possible to go back to an area to achieve these results. In as little as 2 or 3 minutes, you will come to the end of the grip. Ensure the last part of the sleeve is smooth before stopping the heating process. Use a sharp knife to trim around the end of the ferrule. Lay the blade on its side and gently remove the excess. Repeat the process at the grip end, using light pressure and the same sharp knife. Cut away the excess. You'll notice that the material that's been shrunk is much tougher than that which hasn't. Simply drop the end of the grip back down to complete the process. This gives the best finish around the grip. The resulting look should be a smooth, even, blemish-free finish. If you're unable to roll the grip back, you can simply shrink the sleeve over the end of the grip. Then, using a sharp knife, cut into the sleeve using the end of the grip as a guide. Spin the club to cut the sleeve all around. It may be helpful to rest the end of the club on a surface for this. Finally, cut away the excess material as before. As you can see, this still results in a neat finish at the end of the grip. While it may at first appear as though the sleeves aren't long enough for drivers, it's important to know that they stretch by about 10% on application. Drivers and woods tend to have graphite shafts. Whilst the application method is identical to that of steel shafts, it's worth heating more of the shaft to ensure the sleeve stretches to fit. Here we're heating about half the shaft. Graphite also takes a little longer to heat, so spend around 30 to 40 seconds on this step. Lower the sleeve into position as before, with the seam pointing away from the club face. Since this club has such a short hosel and ferrule, there's very little overlap. If we take a look at the top end of the sleeve at this stage, it's clearly some way short of the grip. By the time we reach the top with the hairdryer, we can see the sleeve has stretched to fit this regular length driver shaft. Some putters have neither a ferrule nor a hosel, but rather a shaft that fits directly into the club head. These require special mention. Rather than heating the lower half or third of the shaft, heat just the portion immediately above the club head. This should still take around 20 to 30 seconds, as the club head will absorb much of the heat. Next, lower the sleeve all the way to the club head. Heat the smallest portion possible with the nozzle until a smooth finish is achieved. If the sleeve rides up a little, slide it back down to the club head before continuing the heating process. You will not be able to apply tension to the sleeve and support the club's weight until a significant amount of the sleeve is gripping the shaft. About the width of your hand is a reasonable guide. You can slowly reduce your grip so as to let the club hang in the sleeve as with previous methods. Shaft skins are capable of being applied around the bends in modern putter shafts. Here you can see how heating on several sides achieves the desired results. A closer look at the bottom of the shaft shows just how neat a finish can be achieved.